let's touch down on Bob Bushnell because you both have an amazing relationship with the Studio One console.
Right.
From 1970 to 1984, we had a Bushnell-built console with API
so
components.
we had a Bob Bushnell console that after the Tube Langevin came out of Studio One, my father had contracted Bob Bushnell to build an API-based console for Studio One. And on that team, I know Dean Jensen worked for him. Well, he was one of the guys, but several others. So we got the Bushnell console. I don't know how many they had built prior. Not many, one or two. Anyway, we got it in 19. I think we
and they were all different too. They were all built.
They were all different.
How do you want this?
How do you want to build this? How many channels? Do you want a monitor section? Do you not? They built some ARM service boards, radio kind of boards. Anyway, so we installed that in 1970, and that remained in the room until about 1984 when we put in the Sunset Industries custom-built console that's in there now.
So 14 years, though. We're talking Doors L.A. Woman was mixed on it. I verified that. You're talking Van Halen 1. Van Halen 1 was done on that Bushnell board.
Yeah.
Linda Ronstadt. The Rolling Stones.
Exile on Main Street overdubs. Yeah.
Exile.
Chris Zeppelin was in two.
The Doobie Brothers. That would have been the Sound Techniques console.
Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, a lot of the Doobie Brothers records.
That was pretty much an L.A. sound, was that?
That's exactly how you described it yesterday to me.
Well, you had the New York sound, which was mostly 560s, and then you had the L.A. sound that was 558s.
That's too cool.
That's kind of the way they were.
So that board is tremendous. It lasts 14 years in that room. You decide that it's time to move it along and get something different going.
I decided that we're getting ready to put in the board, and we're like, what are we going to do with the board? And I go, well, we need to sell the board, I guess.
And not to somebody here in Hollywood.
No, my edict was, no, we need to move this thing out of town, far out of town.
So it doesn't compete.
I don't need to see my console down the street and them going, why do you need to go to Sunset Sound when you can come to us?
Or like T Bone was one of your top guys, like Joe is.
Well, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, and then if he ended up with that console, you'd lose him in a second.
Gee, did that happen?
Yeah, 27 years later, maybe.
Exactly.
So
we're getting to that. This is a great around. This is a ring around the rosy. It's hilarious.
Yes, but who does that board go to then? The Bushnell board.
So that board goes to Mr. Paul Wolff here.
Yes. Incredible.
Yeah. Which I have that picture of us.
It's going up.
Yeah.
Our matching tan khakis.
Yes.
With the manual that everybody
guys.
claims never existed.
Oh, it existed.
I had it in my hand.
Yeah, it existed.
So you called me up and you said, we need to get rid of this console, and I can't sell it in town for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And do you know anybody that would want it? I said, well, let me just check around, And he wanted to go. I was in Virginia, so he wanted to go past New York. He didn't even want it in New York. He wanted it in
Nova Scotia,
North Carolina, or somewhere on an island that's out there. The Bermuda
or maybe
Triangle.
in the Atlantic.
Right. And if you were a little less conscious of money, you probably would have just thrown the fucking thing away.
Probably.
Which a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was so. I talked to the guys because I was working at a studio at the time, too, at the same time. And I said, you guys want to do this? So we had an APSI console, and it was dying, and I had modified the fuck out of it, and it was still dying. And so we thought, what the hell? And so I said, well, how much do you want for it? And he didn't want a lot for it. He just wanted it gone.
Gone. Out of town.
How gone?
Out of Dodge.
You make it disappear?
So we put it in the fourth floor of a studio. I remember hoisting it through the window of the studio. And I remember the first time I used it, I cut a record on it and then came out here and mixed the record in Studio One.
Oh, that's right.
The day before Yes was going to do their 9
zillion years in Studio One with
Yes?
Big Generator. Yeah, they were in there for about 9 months.
No, that was the 90210 record.
No, it was Big Generator. It
Was
was
it?
after 90210.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was.
That's the wrong number.
It was the
but that's
follow-up. It was the follow-up record.
Yeah, and that was it had all the racks of equipment in there. There were like 2 or 3
Paul
days.
de Villiers was the producer.
He said,
Yeah.
just come and use the studio, just whatever. So we mixed the record that we cut on the Studio One console and mixed it on that, which I don't think anybody else was able to ever do, unless there was that overlap. I think I'm the only guy who
I think you're it.
cut the record
On that board and then
Mixed it
waited and came back. Well, we didn't wait because you had the board.
We had the board. I cut it
Right.
in my studio and then came out and mixed it on that. And I'll tell you what, that is one of the absolute fattest fucking records I ever made in my life. I still listen to it today, and I just love the way everything sounds.
What is it?
It's a band called Push, and it was a local band that were just really great guys. And I remember David Glover was our assistant.
Glove Daddy.
Yeah. He was a great guy. He did anything we wanted. He was just so helpful,
Yeah.
you know. And, I mean...
He was getting ready to go on the 9-month Yes project.
Right.
You should have seen him after that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure he was like Mr. Seedy. Yeah. But I mean, we cut it on the record. And the thing about that console, and this is the way it was with a lot of those old consoles, and also it had to do with the way you cut records. You cut records for keeps. You EQ'd them before you put them down. There were a lot of things you did. So when you played it back, you could put all the faders at 0 and pretty much have a good starting point. And you pretty much could do that. You put all the faders at 0, throw a little reverb on the drums, separate the overheads left and right, and you just hit record and you had a record. I mean, that's how simple it was,
Yeah.
And so we basically tracked that record on that console, and then I came out and mixed it on this one, and it just made you happy when you listened to it. It was just so nice, just the tone of everything and the way it all fit together, and we used the freezer, the locker,
the chamber?
the chamber, yeah, the chamber that had the dead rat that went to the doors. That chamber that was on a previous. You got to look it up. Look at the previous one, the interview with Jim
That's
Messina,
another
and you'll
story.
understand the rat.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used that and the plates and everything, and an echo and all the tape echo and stuff. It was just, God, it was just such a great sound. But it is. I realized that I think I'm probably the only guy that ever was able to do that because
That's extremely
I had
cool.
it. And I knew full well that you didn't want to lose the console, so that stayed there for about 7 years, and then I sold it to Tom Silverman in New York, Tommy Boy Records.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that band, The Safety Dance, and all that
Yes.
stuff. He bought it and put it in his studio.
I forgot about that. Now I recall that.
It wasn't Michael Block.
But it did
No.
get to Michael Block.
It ended when he sold it. Then Michael Block bought it, put it in storage, and then put it in his own studio in Philadelphia. And Shelley Yakis used to work there.
Oh,
and
wow.
I remember taking some of my tapes up there and playing them. And Shelley said to me, "This is this is a guy I love Shelley more than any. I mean, he's just the greatest guy on the face of the earth. I love this guy, and he's a mentor too. It's like when you're friends with somebody that you just go like, I can't believe I'm sitting in the room eating lunch with somebody who likes me, and he's the best guy I've ever. I mean, he's just an awesome guy. So I play this thing and I play this bass, and he stops the tape and he goes, "My God," he says, "the next time I record bass, I'm calling you." And I thought to myself, God, what a compliment, And it was because it was tracked on the API, and then we mixed it on the same console. And
Yeah.
when we played it back, it just sounded like it was
Really
gold.
good,
bet.
So it stayed there for a long time, and then it went into storage, and then he put it on eBay, and guess who bought it?
Yeah. So so T Bone Burnett's
But it was 27 years later, though.
I know, but
still.
he's a resident client here for
3 decades, right?
For, I don't know,
10 decades in a row.
Yeah, for 3 decades we saw that work here for 30
he's
years.
doing, where Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He's doing, all kinds of incredible records here. And he's all giddy one day, and he comes up to me and goes, "Paul, I want to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I wonder what T-Bone wants." He goes, "You're not going to believe this." And I go, "What? Believe what?" And he's like, "I'm going to buy your old console." And I'm like, it didn't click at first. I'm like,
The AMEC?
What? Well, yeah, like, what console? I mean, this is literally
It was 24
20-something years
24, 27
later.
years later, yeah.
And I'm like, what console? Yeah, 25, 27. I don't know. He goes, the Studio One console. I go, the Studio One console back east?
Get Paul Wolff on the phone.
Like,
You son of a bitch!
I mean, the minute he said that, I was just like, oh, there goes our client. So that's what happened.
Yeah, he had it for quite a few years. And
Put it in
then
his house?
Put it in the
Yeah.
Brentwood house,
Yeah.
and with our with our ex-engineer Mike Persante, and they did some incredible records on it, like Raising Sand with Alison Krauss and Robert Plant. I mean, tons of records on it.
Now, the funny thing about that is when he decided to sell it, he put it on Reverb.
Yeah, I helped him out on that. I did an interview. He did an interview, and I did an interview.
It's on our YouTube.
And on YouTube. And
well, there's an interesting thing about Reverb versus eBay.